around the world. I want to shift now to the tax plan because obviously there was the Reagan-esque elements to it. Much lower individual taxes, much lower business taxes. It's a pretty much no-brainer to anyone in business, from a small businessman like me to someone like you. Let people keep more of what they want. They go out, they spend it. It circulates in the economy. It creates a real virtuous cycle rather than the Fed printing up phantom money and taxing companies to death. But I've got an issue with two things, and I hope you can help me clarify it.
Go ahead.
On the repatriation, 10% one-time tax. The window of opportunity is there, so I understand the urgency factor, but have I read, and is it clear that you are actually going to take this money from companies whether they repatriate it or not?
No, we are going to have them bring the money back into the country, and we're going to charge you 10% tax. Right now, the taxes, depending on the way you do it, it could be as high as 35%. It's too high. Nobody's going to bring it in, so nobody's bringing it in. I actually have money out. You can't bring it in. It doesn't make economic sense. Also, you can't get the approval to bring it in. You go through this process. You know, you need approval and everything else to bring money into the country that we can spend in our own country. So what we're doing is lowering the tax to 10%, which is a very reasonable rate, and leaving it at a low rate. But what is happening is the 15% tax, which corporations are going to pay in all businesses, little businesses, big businesses, we're lowering it. So we go from the highest tax in the world to being one of the lowest tax. We're actually third lowest, and at the 15%. People now are going to bring their money back, and they're going to bring it back automatically, Joe. It's not going to be stuck offshore. It's not going to be stuck in Europe and in Asia and in all of these different places. And, you know, the number of $2.5 trillion might be much more than that. People have no idea what that number is, but they think it's $2.5 trillion. I think it's going to be much more than that. So this money would pour into the United States as soon as we do this.
What about at zero? Why wouldn't you make it 0% then?
Well, you could make it zero. Yeah. And I was actually thinking about doing that. It's such a good thing. You know, the funny thing is that, and by the way, these plans, every one of them, whether it's my plan or Bush's plan or any of these plans, they're all going to be changed drastically by the time they get through. You understand that. This is a talking point and a starting point. I was actually thinking about making it zero. And maybe you make it zero for a period of 6 months or something like that. You know, you leave a very short window so the money just pours in. They want to bring the money in, but they just can't get it. But I was absolutely thinking about that, and I would totally be open to that. The only thing is they'll pay the 10% too. They're going to pay the 10. You might as well make a couple of bucks.
I got you. 0% plus a 15% tax here at home. Then we start to see factories get built in this country.
Absolutely.
On the individual side, though, when Jeb Bush announced his plan, he's going to have 15 million more people not pay taxes. You've got 30 million more not paying taxes at 50,000 and under. And I get where you're coming from. A lot of people say it's populist, but I believe that every American should pay something on the federal level, not necessarily 10%, but have some sort of skin in the game. And I'll tell you the other problem I have with it. We have created an entitlement culture here. If I'm making $50,000 a year, but there's 5 million jobs out there I just don't have the skills for, why should the government pay me not to get those skills? Yeah. Why can't I go and take a course for a year, become a welder, and then go get one of those great jobs? If you are paying me not to become a better American, I might just not become a better American.
I know. I agree with you 100%. I think two things. Number one, I think my tax plan is so dynamic that those people that aren't paying taxes are going to be paying taxes because they're going to get above their $25,000, and they're going to get above the numbers that we're talking about. And I also like the idea of sending in a return and paying something. But the truth is they don't have very much money, especially nowadays. Living off those kind of sums that you're talking about it's very tough. And you know what we save in terms of administration and all of the problems that we have when you have to administer all of this tremendous, tens and tens of millions of people sending in virtually nothing. I mean, it's a huge administration cost, and you can imagine what it is, far more than the money that we'll get in. So we thought we would do that. I think a lot of people like it. I agree, though, there's something nice about, sending in something, even though it can't be very much, because, again, we have to let the people live. They're not making any money. I do believe, though, that I will create jobs so much so that they will start making money, and good money, Charles.